Hi everybody, my name is Daniel. In this demo, I'm going to showcase how to use SSH credentials to connect to remote Git SSH repository using JBoss EAP 740 beta. Let's get started. In order to save my demo time, I actually already installed JBoss EAP 740 beta. As you see, there are a bunch of the configuration on the standalone directory. For example, standalone-full HA, standalone-HA, and standalone.html. So we're gonna start JBoss EAP instance using default standalone XML. And once it started, you can find the right version. As you see, EAP 740.beta version EAP just running on my local machine. When you go to admin console, you can find some kind of this message because we don't have any management role or credential at the very beginning time. If you want to access the admin console, you have to create the management role and credential as well. We're going to do that actually a little bit later. So I'm going to stop the running EAP. So next step, I'm going to run EAP once again with the SSH credential. To do that, I need to generate the key pair store and also a credential store. So luckily, JBoss EAP provides an Electron tool which allows us to create the credential store. For example, here is the name. The credential name is CS underscore example CS file, which is a credential store, which allows store key pair with a specific algorithm. For example, RSA algorithm. So let's try to create a new key pair to store in that credential store. So we're going to use Electron tool once again with the algorithm RHS and the specific size. And once we create the key pair, we can find our public key using Electron tool here. So just copy the public key and go to your developer project, for example, in my Git report, and go to setting. And then you can find the SHN GPG key menu and create a new SS key. You can just paste that your public key, just create that from Electron script tool. But I already created that for the demo ahead of time. So go back to our console, and on the next step, we're going to create the Wi-Fi configuration, which we need to refer that key pair we just create and store in credential store. So here is the old default configuration I just copied from cheat sheet. The one thing you have to do that we need to actually use absolute or relative path, specifically under bin directory. So once we create the wildfire config file, here is my configuration repository, which I wanted to share with my developer team. As you see, there is the sample text file, like a test.text file, and also I already put in my one of the credential as a management property. So I'm going to use this configuration repository using SSH Git repository based on SSH credential. So I just copy the Git repo URL, and the Git branch is main. And also I'm going to add one more parameter, Git auth, with the wider configuration XML. We just created that. So you can actually use a PI protocol, but also URL protocol as well. So when you run this command line to execute this JBoss EAP standalone server, you can find your old configuration will be pulling down from Git repository rather than use your local directory. So your EAP is running on well, and then let's go up to the logs. And then we can find that actually here. All right. Okay, here we go. So the configuration history managed through the Git, which means your configuration override from your Git configuration. So let's try to open another terminal window and try to go standalone configuration. As you see, the text file just pulling down, and just take a look at the inside the file, and that's SSH authentication we just saw in my Git repository. Okay, pretty cool. And then when you go to admin console once again, and now we just log in based on my credential. This is one of some browser caching, but the Daniel Low, I just edited that credential on my management role, as you saw in my Git repository. All right. So one of the beauty of the JBoss EAP 7.4, you can actually make a snapshot and also push it and change it to Git repository directly without using Git command line. So as you see, there's no snapshot at this moment, and I try to make some change here configuration directory. So I just try to remove standalone full HTML.xml because I don't need to use that in my developer team, and then I just deleted it and then go back to JBoss CLI terminal, and I try to take a snapshot with the name, let's say the snapshot 1, and then comment remove configuration. So you can actually take a multiple snapshot as well. Okay, I just created a new snapshot and the list the snapshot, and we have find one snapshot here. If you try to make a multiple snapshot, you can actually publish that. So publish configuration with the location. You can put in the Git repository with the authenticate the SSH credential. We just outcome success here, and then go back to our configuration Git repository. You can find that the remote configuration, there is no HA configuration at this moment. Okay, so next step. So let's say we have a multiple developer on my team, and then I want to share this configuration with the other developers. So in order to do that, we're going to use the cloud-native environment like a core-ready workspace. Here is my sample application. As you see here, the dev file already defined in the Git repository. When you run the core-ready workspace with the parameter Git repository project name, and it automatically spin up your project. So click on Developer Sandbox. This is for free for developer, Red Hat provide. So you can actually run Developer Sandbox and go to core-ready workspace from OpenShift Container Dev UI, but you can actually spin up the core-ready workspace directly with your specific Git repository. So in the meantime, you can find the core-ready workspace found your dev file from your Git repository, but also there are a bunch of stuff. In the meantime, let's try to go to dev file, take a look at that. So here is the project name, kitchen sink, one of the quick start example on the JBoss EAP. You can actually report to Git repository for resource directory, or you can have a G file as to your source. And I'm going to use the Docker image component to run JBoss EAP 7.4 beta. And here is just some environmental value such as Maven option and Java option. And the one thing you have to do that, you need to expose endpoint to access application presentation layer, but also you need to pass down some specific JBoss option. For example, here the Git report, Git branch, Git auth, just like we did on my local machine. But one different thing is we're gonna use the HTTPS protocol URI, because previously we just file protocol, but you can actually use a URI command line. And you can also add some command. This is one of the beauty of dev file. So we're gonna take a look at that once code ready workspace is started. Okay, just code ready workspace started. The left side in the Explorer Navigator, you can find exactly what kind of project from pull down from Git repository. So here is a Java project, just like your enterprise Java application. So when you go a little bit drill down your project, there are controller and a data and a model, a REST for your application, presentation layer, and the services and utility, just like the normal enterprise Java application architecture. And then when you open your tool, and just you can find open a new terminal here. So first of all, just make sure this application and the EAP already running inside the core-ready workspace pod. So take a look at that event variable, and then with the JBoss searching and the JBoss EAP version here 7.0.beta, and then go to standalone configuration directory. Just to make sure the share the configuration already pulled down. As you see the test.txt file, and there's no standalone full HTML XML. So now we have the same developer team, but one is from developer in local machine, the other one developed on cloud-based IDE tool. This is a more cloud-heavy way. And then let's try to build this application. Let's say I just create some application and bug fix, etc. But for that, when you go to EAP endpoint, as you see this is the admin console landing page, but unfortunately the JBoss EAP admin console is not available in OpenShift container platform, which is a developer sandbox running on OpenShift as well. So try to build this application. So let's try to hot deploy. This is one of the beauty of the JBoss EAP feature. Though your EAP is actually running, but at a time we can deploy the actual application. So first of all, this is a Maven project. That's why we build the Maven packaging. In the meantime, when you go back to OpenShift to developer console on developer sandbox, you can find the EAP log, just like a EAP 7.0 beta is running. Okay, so our application build just complete, and I go to terminal window and I try to make sure your WAR file is deployed into your EAP. So as you see, the root WAR file is just deployed, and I'll just go to endpoint here. So we have a new application just deployed in the meantime as part of the hot deploy behavior. So try to add a new name just for fun. So my name Daniel and my email address and just my fake phone number. And the register here. So new data is just stored, and you click on RESTful API. You can find the data based on JSON format, and you can find the all data here. Okay, so one thing, maybe you can go to core-ready workspace and dev file configuration. You can find all dev file detail, just like we saw in Git repository application. Thank you for watching. Have a good rest of the day.